Good morning, everyone. I hope you guys are all having a blessed week. I know that a few people have been following the other videos that I posted on restoring this 74 XLH Ironhead Sportster. But listen, I wanted to go over the final cost. You know, when I found this bike, I was on Craigslist one Saturday morning and it just popped up. And I was probably the first or second one to call on it. And I called the lady and it was an estate sale. And this thing had been sitting in a garage, in the corner of a garage, since 1998. 25 years it had just been sitting there. So I went over to look at it, and I went in the garage, and it was over in the corner, had stuff piled on it. So I did everything, and I took one look at the tank, and the tank was in really immaculate condition. And then I looked at the rest of the bike and it was all there. It was all original. The only thing missing were the two front Yankee turn signals. Other than that, it looked totally complete. So I just looked at it and I looked at the guy and I said, hey, I'll take it. How are we going to argue about the price? The price was $1,800. So I said, man, I'll take it. So he said, well, you know, the tires are flat and the brakes are locked up, so you're going to have to get some people to pick it up and haul it out of here. So me and my son-in-law went over and aired up the tires, and I took a putty knife with a hammer and drove it in between the shoes and the front rotor and got the brakes freed up. We rolled it right out of there and put it on the trailer. So when I got it home, I gave it a good once-over look. And I was figuring, I thought, okay, time I get all the gaskets, all the rebuild kits, because I've been sitting 25 years, so I knew I had to rebuild the carburetor, I had to rebuild the front brake caliper, I had to rebuild the master cylinder, just all those things you got to do. So I was figuring about $300 for gaskets and rebuild kits. So then I got started working on it, and we're going to do a walk around right now, and I'm going to show you everything that I did to it. All right, guys, when we got the bike, after I washed it up, I literally thought the bike didn't need anything. I mean, other than it just been sitting for almost 25 years. So when I first got it home, the clutch wasn't working. So what I did was I bought a new clutch cable, took off the primary, adjusted all the clutch, had to get new O-rings for the inspection covers. They were completely locked into place. And whenever you can't get these off, it's because the O-ring was missing. So new clutch cable, new O-rings, new gasket, new battery. The original seat, it was just sitting on the bike when I got the bike. I didn't know it didn't fit. When I got home, it didn't fit. So I got a new seat for $200 off eBay, had to buy the front bracket and the rear bracket. Gas tank, perfect condition. The liner was coming off on the inside, but there was no rust, so I flushed out the gas tank. These are the Yankee turn signals that were missing. I found two Yankee turn signals at a swap meet for, I think I paid $10 for the set. Took off all these and lubed all them up real good. That's all working perfect now. Took off the speedometer cable and completely lubed it up really nice, and that's working perfect. Now the brake caliper. This thing had been sitting so long that the brake fluid had literally turned to powder. So when I took this apart, I had to get a rebuild kit and completely rebuild this caliper. I had to buy new brake shoes, and I had to rivet the shoes onto the steel plates. This was stripped out here where it went into the caliper, so I had to get a brass 3/8 24 by 3/8 24, tap this, get it epoxied into place, and then put the line into it. New brake line also. The old line, you couldn't even blow air through it. New rotor. The old rotor was out of specs. Took the whole front wheel off and everything and rebuilt, or repacked all the wheel bearings, brand new wheel bearing seals. This is our new front tire we just put on it. Lubed up the steering, the speedometer gear, got that all lubed up and working. Completely lubed the cable all the way down. New throttle cable. Here's that brake line. The master cylinder was completely, just absolutely frozen in place because the brake fluid had turned to dust. So I had to get a rebuild kit, completely rebuild this. Carburetor had been setting for 24 years, so I got a rebuild kit, completely rebuilt the carburetor. I took the choke off the other side. Whenever I rebuild a bike, I always put the dice on there for my choke. New gas line, so completely rebuilt the carburetor. Bought a new set of intake manifold O-rings to completely redo that because that had been sitting so long. Then when I got down here to the transmission sprocket, there was all kinds of gunk in here, so I knew something was leaking. So I took this cover off, and the sprocket was completely loose, and it was held on by a thread. So it took out the transmission seal when it was flopping in there. So I bought a new sprocket, new transmission seal, replaced those, and then the chain was the original chain that was on it. Didn't look too awful bad, but if I'm going to get a new front sprocket, I'm going to go ahead and get a chain too. So I bought a new chain, new sprocket. That's all really good. Also changed the oil, filter, primary oil, transmission oil, changed everything. Back wheel, same thing. Took this all off, completely cleaned out the entire drum. Shoes were good. Buffed them all up with sandpaper really good. They're just like new. New back tire. And over here I took the entire wheel apart, repacked all the wheel bearings, brand new seals, got all that done, so that's all good. So I was figuring $300 for parts, and we'll sit down and calculate exactly what I spent. Also, here's our new battery. We had to get a new battery. So anyway, I estimated $300. Well, this is what it actually cost. Okay, so $300 was just miscellaneous parts. I knew that I was going to need tires. So tires, I got tires, tubes, and the little strips that go on the spokes, all that. You know, I spent $350 on tires and tubes and to have them mounted, balanced, everything. But what I didn't know was the seat didn't fit. So I had to get a new seat. So I sold the old one for $100. The new one cost $200, so that wasn't bad. Then I had the DMV fees. The DMV fees was $289. When the guy parked it in that garage, he put it in non-op, so there was no back fees or anything else. It's just that's what it cost to register a bike in California. So my total parts, where I was figuring $300, actually cost me about $700. So whenever you look at a project like this and you think, well, man, that's all it's going to cost. You can always take whatever you think it's going to cost and you can double it or triple it. I built a shovel head one time from the ground up. Bought a frame, everything. Had a donor bike, and I thought, man, you know, this is going to be, shoot, I'm going to get away cheap. Maybe, you know, $4,000 or $5,000. Time I got done, it was $9,700. And I rebuilt an 80 iron head one time, same thing. But anyway, total in this bike, this is the total thing. It was $1,800 was the purchase price. My DMV fees to get it back on the road was $289. My total parts, total everything, including the seat, battery, rebuild kits, everything, chain, tie, the whole thing was $1,337. So my total cost to restore this bike was $3,426. Now, when you go on Google and you Google a 1974 XLH in perfect condition, because this bike right now, front to back, is in perfect condition. When you do that, mediocre condition, just finding it in the back of a barn, it's worth $2,000, $2,500. Good condition is about $3,500 to $4,000. Excellent condition is about $7,000, and absolute mint is about $9,000 to $9,500. So this bike is absolutely perfect condition now. It's been restored to perfection, and I got $3,426 in it. So guys, look, there's all kinds of good deals out there. All you got to do is take your time and look. So now that I'm done, it's time to get this thing down off the lift and take it for its maiden voyage. The first time it's been on the road in 25 years. It's going to be a little bit strange for me because it's a right foot shift, and all my dirt bikes, things I'm used to riding, are all left foot shifts. So I'm sure I'll get used to that. But anyway, you guys all have a blessed week, and I'll see you in the next video.